Have a good show tonight.
Thanks, brother. Catch you tomorrow. Hello, good evening, and thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Blake Burman. So it is the final push happening right now at this hour. Candidates making their last stops. Voting booths opening first thing in the morning. Tonight, we'll show you what's behind a major surge in America's largest city. Plus, the presidential war chest. President Trump now stepping up his involvement. What NewsNation is learning tonight about the multi-million-dollar push coming from President Trump's political operation. But will it be enough to lift Republicans? Also this evening, back out on the road, our Brian Enton continues his Driving the Vote series, spotlighting where crime is on the ballot in one of America's capital cities. And just hours away from a record. The kind you don't want, though. The government shutdown hits day 34 with air traffic controller shortages causing growing delays at airports all across the country.
I think what you see in this debate we're having on our own side is a reflection of the anger that we feel, the real desperation that we feel, because we want the government to be reopened.
We will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people.
But first tonight, it is 6 o'clock here on the East Coast in just 12 hours until polls open all across America's largest city. 6 a.m., bright and early in New York, for a race that's been dissected early and often. Zohran Mamdani, first thing in the morning on this final day of campaigning, walking the Brooklyn Bridge, likely just one day away from becoming the first Democratic socialist to become the mayor of New York City. His top challenger, Andrew Cuomo, now receiving tepid backing from President Trump.
Trump will go through Mamdani like a hot knife through butter, and we can't have that.
Let them feel the light of City Hall when the clock strikes midnight to mark the first day of a new month, and the rent payment that looms doesn't make them feel a pit in their stomach.
But is there a flip in the works just next door? In New Jersey, the Democratic Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill trying to hold off the Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Polls suggest this is the race really to watch. And just down the road from us, in Virginia, the Democrat Abigail Spanberger running against the incumbent Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears. Spanberger believed to be holding a comfortable lead there for the governor's mansion. Team coverage now on all these races the night before the big election day. Hannah Brandt in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Kelly Meyer at the White House this evening. Scott Tranter, the man behind the numbers, here to break down the latest polling. But first, to New York City with our Jessica Cartalia and the battle for the Big Apple. Jessica.
Yeah, it's a wild one, and all eyes are on New York City, Blake. And why should you care? I mean, if you're in Florida, you're in California, why is this race such a big deal? Well, there are 8 million people who live here, and we have $1 trillion economy here in New York. So it almost sets a precedent for what could come in the midterm elections. Meanwhile, we've already seen record-breaking early turnout here in New York City, with more than 735,000 people already casting their ballot. Also, the highest turnout early, but we're seeing a lot of younger voters coming out, 35 and younger, and it's bringing the median age down to about 50. So that's a very surprising sign. That's according to the Board of Elections. Key Democrats have remained pretty silent so far in endorsing or supporting Mamdani, but former President Barack Obama privately gave him a call over the weekend offering encouragement. He did not go so far as to endorse the candidate, but he said that he would be available as a quote-unquote sounding board in the future. Former President Trump, though, also weighing in during his 60 Minutes interview with Norah O'Donnell yesterday, criticizing Mamdani and saying that he would limit funds to the city if the candidate won. Today, Mamdani and Cuomo responded to the president's comments.
Now, Donald Trump may speak as if it is his decision, but this is money that this city is owed. Yeah. This is money that we will expect to collect.
And what you heard President Trump say was he would cut off federal funding to New York if Mamdani was elected. That would be devastating.
Okay, so again, Blake, all eyes here on New York, because depending on what happens tomorrow, it could really set a precedent for what the rest of the election cycle will look like.
And Jessica, across the river there in New Jersey, as I mentioned, that's the one where, when you think about a handful of these big national races, that's the one that we're watching really closely heading into Election Day.
Yeah, and it is so close. So Mikey Sherrill still out today on a little bus tour. She made 3 different stops campaigning, trying to get people out there to vote and to vote for her. Also, Chitterelli's son, very nice story, came back. He's serving in Kuwait in the army over there. That's where he's based. And he came home early on election eve to surprise his father. So again, this is going to be a very interesting race tomorrow, and I'll be covering that. So Blake, we will check in with you then. But yeah, neck and neck here.
Set the politics aside. Awesome moment there. Jessica Cartalia live for us tonight. Jessica, thank you. Now over to our Hannah Brandt, Arlington, Virginia tonight with the governor's race there. Hannah?
Blake, I'm standing outside of a polling place, and there are campaign signs. You can probably see them behind me lighting this sidewalk. There are a lot of eyes on this race in Virginia, and Virginians are showing up for it. More than 1.4 million people voted early, according to the Virginia Public Access Project, and that outpaces the last gubernatorial election here. Now, both of the candidates focused on Election Day, though, out campaigning all day today, trying to get their final messages out to voters. Take a listen.
We need a governor with a plan to stand up for Virginia, and we need a governor with a plan to see us through this time of chaos and challenge. And I am so excited about what it is that we are going to do tomorrow.
Now, there's been some controversy here, specifically in the Attorney General's race, with a bombshell report about texts that Democratic Attorney General candidate Jay Jones sent back in 2022. That's where he said a Republican state lawmaker should be shot. Jones did apologize for those violent messages after the reporting came out, and Spanberger, for her part, the Democratic governor candidate, she condemned them, but she didn't call for him to drop out. Now, this race is attracting some heavy hitters as well. Over the weekend, former President Barack Obama was here in Virginia campaigning with Democratic candidate Abigail Spanberger. I was actually at that rally myself, and so were thousands of supporters. I saw a lot of enthusiasm in that arena, but the question is whether that energy is something that translates into turnout. Now, I would also say, notably, Blake, President Trump has not specifically endorsed the Republican candidate by name. That's Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears, but we'll be waiting to see if that's something that changes when he hosts a tele-rally for Virginia in just about an hour from now, Blake.
He is indeed our Hannah Brandt, live in Virginia tonight. Hannah, thank you. Live look right now, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. As Hannah mentioned, President Trump is set to speak at 2 virtual rallies within the hour here for the Republican candidates in Virginia and in New Jersey. Our Kelly Meyer live tonight over at the White House ahead of those calls. And Kelly, we're also learning tonight about the president and his political operation and what they are deciding to do right now.
Yeah, dipping into that political war chest to help out a little bit. We actually just got a lid here at the White House, so that means we aren't going to see President Trump tonight. We actually haven't seen him all day today. That tele-town hall, tele-rally tonight remains closed to press, but we're trying to see if we could get some access either into that event over the phone to find out what he is saying in that. We know that he also hasn't been out on the campaign trail, Blake, so that's been notable as well. So we also know here that the Trump political team is dipping into that war chest, giving roughly $1 million each to Virginia and New Jersey. This is to get MAGA voters out to the polls. President Trump also just said on True Social not too long ago that if New York mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani wins, quote, "It is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum required." He also went on to say this: "You must vote for Andrew Cuomo. You really have no choice." He said in full, whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not, end quote. So Trump seeming to solidify his backing of Cuomo after this take last night. Listen to this.
And I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
Mamdani had this to say on X, saying, "Congratulations, Andrew Cuomo. I know how hard you worked for this." And in a radio interview today, Cuomo ignored a question on Trump's backing. Blake.
Our Kelly Meyer live tonight over at the White House. Kelly, thank you. Here now on election eve. Only one guy to talk to. He is the man behind the numbers, Scott Tranter, data science director over at DDHQ. You want to say hello? You want to take a bow? What do you want to do here on this election eve?
I want to say one more day before elections, and I feel great, don't you? We're back in it. Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the big race there in the Big Apple. Mamdani, a lot of people think this is game, set, match, right?
Yeah.
But let's go to the numbers that really interest you, and that's the turnout, the early voter turnout at this point in time. Show the graphic if we can, because they are up to like early voter turnout somewhere between like 300% to 500% in some of the 5 boroughs there.
Some of the 5 boroughs, look, we're looking at...
So here it is, sorry. So this is, you got 295, 298, all the way up to 513.
Yeah, what you're looking at here is you're looking at a huge surge in turnout, and when we look at that turnout against the voter file, it's a surge under people under the age of 40. So while I understand the president thinks the New Yorkers only have one choice, it's pretty clear to us New Yorkers are coming out in large numbers, and it looks like they're choosing Mamdani.
So that voter surge under 40, you would think tens.
That's what all the polling shows. That's what we saw in the primary. Now, we got to count the votes tomorrow.
Yep.
But we have a pretty good idea.
Pretty remarkable, though, when you think about it, what's going on there in the Big Apple. All right, let's go to the other coast. California, your home state, Prop 50. This is redistricting. This is California saying, okay, Texas, I see what you did. We're going to try to do it too, and all of this relates back to the House and who controls it in the midterms. This is 2 races I want to show you, right? So this is District 1 and District 3. District 1, it would be essentially the redrawing of the maps, a 30-plus point move. District 3, a 15, 16-point move, Scott. And this is what they are voting on in California tomorrow, the ability to potentially do that.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to be able to do that in very safe numbers. And look, I know we're a year out. These 2 races took several days to call in 2024, and the control of the House is razor thin at 4 to 5 seats. It could come down to this, and it could come down to a vote like we have tomorrow.
By the way, there's obviously a lot of red on that map. Those are big land mass
masses, yes.
But you would be talking about 5 more Democratic seats in that state, potentially.
Exactly. Okay. 5. Look, it's going to be a battleground, and it counteracts Texas's 5 that they went towards the Republicans.
New Jersey. Let's swing back to the other end of the country, down by us. This is the race to watch.
Yeah.
This is Mikey Sherrill, DDHQ polling average, basically at 50. Not at the magic number.
Not at the magic number.
Right there at 49.9. Jack Ciattarelli a few behind.
Here's the interesting part. When Jack Ciattarelli ran last time, he lost by about 3.5, 4 points. And here's where the polling margin is now. The only difference is now Jack Ciattarelli is coming off of an election year where Donald Trump moved the state rightward. And so we're going to see if he's able to get some of those Donald Trump voters who were in the past Democratic voters vote for him. Look, the early vote looks favorable for Sherrill. New Jersey in its whole looks favorable for Sherrill. The polling average does, but this one could be close.
If I say to you on Wednesday morning or Wednesday evening and we're here and I'm like, Tranter, you're the man behind the numbers. How did we get that one wrong? How did we not see fill in the blank coming?
We did not think that the Donald Trump voters who showed up in droves for him in 2024 were going to show up in off years, and that is foreboding for the Democrats and Republicans in 2026.
So that's the big surprise. You think
if it's a surprise.
If there's one surprise in the race, you think it could be in the races, you think it could be this?
It could be that one, yep.
Get some sleep, brother.
Yep.
All right. Scott Tranter, DDHQ. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Still to come. By the way, keep it here on News Nation for all your election coverage. Speaking of get your sleep, I'll be doing the morning show tomorrow night, Morning in America. And then, of course, I hope you check us out right here, 6 o'clock Eastern for our pre-election coverage here on the Hill. Then at 7, special coverage as the results start coming in, covering the big races and big issues from coast to coast. That's here on News Nation throughout the day tomorrow. But before then, and still to come, a live look inside the Capitol. Day 34 of the shutdown, but is there movement? Plus, as the shutdown drags on, fasten your seatbelts, because the likelihood of your flight taking off on time hitting even more turbulence. We're live with which airports are really taking a hit, and our Brian Enton joining us tonight as he continues his Driving the Vote series. Where are you, my man?
We just left Buffalo, New York. I saw Niagara Falls. We're headed to New Jersey now to be there for the big governor's race tomorrow. I'll tell you, talking to Americans, you talk about the shutdown, Blake, they do not like politicians right now. They don't understand why they can't just get their act together. We're talking to real Americans after the break, Blake.
All right, Brian Enton, other side. I thank you for being with us tonight. I'm Blake Burman, back at 4. Just hours away from Election Day in many states across this country, and we're taking a look at the issues important to voters as they head to the polls. President Trump, as you know, has made crime a nationwide priority, sending the National Guard into some of the country's biggest cities. The move sparking protests across the country in some spots. Here's what the president said about it last week.
Now we're taking a lot of bad people out. We're incarcerating some very bad people, some gangs. There are a lot of bad gangs there. We're taking care of it. And we're doing things that, frankly, local law enforcement is going to have a hard time doing.
Nearly half of the country says crime is an extremely or very serious problem, according to a recent Gallup poll. And the issue breaks along party lines. More Republicans view crime as a serious issue than Democrats or independents. Our Brian Enton back out on the road, speaking of law enforcement, Burlington, Vermont, as part of his Driving the Vote series. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Blake. Yeah, it's interesting. Pretty much everywhere we've gone around the country, crime is something that comes up. People wanting to feel safe, concerned in their neighborhoods. You heard so much about defunding the police for so long, but there were only a couple of cities that actually did it and defunded their police departments. And Burlington, Vermont is one of those cities. So we went there to see what it's like now. The leaves are changing, and it's a popular time of year to visit Burlington, Vermont. Are you Mark?
I am.
Hey, I'm Brian.
Hey, Brian.
But a closer look downtown reveals a troubled side of the once idyllic college town.
These things have always been present, of course, you know, homelessness and drug addiction and mental health issues, but they seem to be going unchecked now in any way.
Unchecked because the city is down 30-plus officers on what's supposed to be a 90-officer force. Burlington defunded the police back in 2020 and focused more on social workers. And business owner Mark Bouchette says problems only got worse. Now the city's trying to reverse course and hire back officers, but the officers don't want to come back.
Is this like a Democrat-Republican issue? Is like what's going on here?
And, in Vermont, it's not a Democrat-Republican issue. It could be a Democrat-progressive issue, but there are no Republicans to speak of here. And
so, do the progressives just not want police, or like what?
I'm hard pressed to impugn their motives, right? Like, I think there is a strain of folks who truly believe that in a perfect world, police aren't necessary. And maybe in a perfect world they're not, but that's not the world I inhabit.
So these are Meta glasses. They have a little camera on the front. I'm gonna put them on, record, and walk around Burlington and check it out. The first thing I noticed was a lot of graffiti all over downtown.
Oh, that's interesting.
And homeless people in the parks and alleys.
Oh man, there's a needle right there. So this is a needle drop box where you can actually drop your needles.
The social work aspect, it sounds really nice in social workers, but is it working? Just because when you walk around it doesn't look so good in some areas.
Yeah, certainly. So I think this is, being a defund city, this is a bit of a live experiment as well. So in the city, a decision was made to invest more with social service providers that are based with the police department and less on police officers over time. But that signal to the police staff at the time caused them to leave in droves.
After the defunding, everything changed.
This is one of the officers who left Burlington. We're hiding his face because he still works in law enforcement in Vermont. I think a lot of people think that the defund the police movement is over and don't realize that there are still all of these effects of it that are almost just as bad as when it happened.
Yes. Maybe only having 2 or 3 officers on a shift when you should have 7 or 8, you have no time to address that. It becomes, is someone dead or dying? And you go from there first. And then if you have any spare time, it's just trying to catch up on paperwork and that kind of stuff, and there's no time. When I was there, it was a borderline nightmare.
It was disturbing, Blake, talking to business owners there. If they call the police just don't come because they don't have enough police, and they're trying to hire the officers back, realizing that their experiment didn't really work, but none of the cops want to come back because they don't feel valued there anymore. Blake?
Oh, such an important story. You're right, it's fascinating. They want the officers, they can't find them. Remarkable. Our Brian Enton live out on the road for us again tonight. We'll see you tomorrow, Brian. Safe travels.
See you, Blake. Thanks.
Of course. All right, still much more ahead. Here on the Hill, live look. Don't you know they're kind of sort of doing some business here in the Capitol. Shutdown standoff rolls on day 35, but is there some movement? New reporting from the Hill, other side of the break. .30 on the dot here on the East Coast. The Senate reconvening late this afternoon as the government shutdown heads now into its 6th week. The funding lapse on track to become the longest shutdown in history tomorrow. And Americans in many places are starting to feel the pain. The Trump administration today saying they will send low-income Americans half of their funding for food stamps, the money coming from an emergency account the administration is now tapping. This follows a judge's order late last week saying the administration must pay out the benefits. The admin had said they thought at the time, at least, that it was illegal to do so. Roughly 40 million Americans are on those programs. And in the skies, flight delays and cancellations are mounting at airports nationwide, in part due to staffing shortages among air traffic controllers. They are working without pay during the shutdown. The Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, says delays will get worse if air traffic controllers miss more paychecks, posting this on social media, saying yesterday he saw another horrible record set. 84% of delays were due to staff shortages. Many controllers are not coming to work because, he says, they have to find a job that will pay them so they can survive. Over at O'Hare in Chicago, they are experiencing among the worst delays in the country today, and that's where we find our Mills Hayes reporting live tonight. Hello, Mills.
Hi, Blake. Chicago, Dallas, and New York are seeing the most delays right now, nearly 3,000 delays overall nationwide. And this as air traffic controllers and TSA agents are going without pay during the shutdown, stressing staffing levels and causing headaches for travelers. You can see the impact that this shutdown is having on travelers. In Houston at the Bush International Airport Monday, officials are warning that the wait at Bush is exceeding 3 hours. And this has caused many people to miss their flights over the weekend. On Sunday alone, airports in New Jersey, Tennessee, and Texas all announced temporary ground stops as they dealt with staffing problems in the control towers. And the union representing air traffic controllers says every day the shutdown continues, the national airspace system becomes less safe than it was the day before. And we know that there were at least 3 air traveling incidents just last week. Planes came dangerously close to colliding at Boston's airport. A plane came close to hitting a medical helicopter in Cleveland, and 2 United planes clipped each other on the tarmac at LaGuardia on Friday. That incident happened while the FAA says nearly 80% of air traffic controllers were absent in the New York area facilities like LaGuardia. We asked passengers who landed at O'Hare if they're concerned with the staffing shortages. Here's what they had to say.
So it's put me behind probably 2 hours, and then there's quite a few people that missed their flights and the connecting flights.
It's just terrible because, I mean, this is not a good experience. This is her first time coming, and, you know, for her to experience this, you know, it's just bad timing, but it's unfair. I mean, if I was a worker, I wouldn't want to go work for free either.
I've heard, like, my family members, friends complain about things, and with the holidays coming, it's also even more concerning.
Unclear if those near misses in United planes clipping each other are related to the shutdown. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating. Blake.
I can imagine our Mills Hayes live out there in Chicago tonight. Mills, thank you. With us now here on the Hill, he is the Republican from Pennsylvania. Congressman Scott Perry serves on the House Transportation Committee. Congressman, thanks for being with us tonight. Look, you're on the committee that oversees a bunch of this. Do you blame these air traffic controllers for calling out sick?
No, I don't blame them. Nobody wants to work for free. They have a stressful job to begin with. They've gone through a lot of training. They've dedicated their lives to the mission that they're on. And then, and they're overworked to begin with, quite honestly. We don't have enough of them to begin with. And so not only are you overworked, but apparently you're not appreciated at all. And to compound that, you don't get paid. So you can't pay your mortgage. You can't pay your car payment. You can't pay for your groceries. Who can blame any of these folks? And when you're there, the stress is even higher because there are less people there with you. So you're going to probably actually work longer and do somebody else's work too. So it really couldn't be a worse situation.
Other bit of news today, some of the SNAP benefits will be paid, not all. According to the USDA, for example, your district there in Pennsylvania, you have about 318,000 households in your district. 12% are participating in SNAP. That's about 38,000 households just in your district alone there in Harrisburg. Are those partial payments acceptable?
Well, no, they're not acceptable. I mean, look, I'm sure they're grateful for anything they can get as opposed to getting nothing at all. We voted in September to pay for all this stuff. The president averted, no payments once before. He continues to try. Actually, the courts the Democrats have taken to court over it. Meanwhile, we have a governor in Pennsylvania. Well, he's not in Pennsylvania. He's traveling around the country running for president. He has a rainy day fund that he could use to make up these benefits. But, the suffering of the people is the Democrats' leverage, not because I said so, because they said so. So
here's what Hakeem Jeffries said today, and then we'll pick it up.
No, the easiest way to fund SNAP is for the administration to do exactly what is done in so many other instances, including the administration finding $40 billion in order to bail out their right-wing dictator wannabe friend in Argentina.
So that's what part of what House Democrats are saying. What say you?
Apparently, the minority leader, doesn't know the difference between the SNAP benefits and a loan to Argentina and the constitutional requirements for the SNAP benefits to be appropriated, which they are not, because the Senate Democrats refused to vote on the House bill passed on a bipartisan basis over a month ago. It was all taken care of. They just refused to vote for it. And look, I'm from Pennsylvania. Senator Fetterman continues to vote with Republicans to open up the government. I mean, like him or not, at least he gets it.
So let me ask you, because as you mentioned, you are from Pennsylvania. You are part of the House Freedom Caucus. Here's what the Hill's reporting tonight, that Senator Thune is optimistic that the shutdown may end by the end of this week. It would include potentially, and I caveat that with potentially, a spending bill through January and a vote on extending the Obamacare subsidies, purely a vote. Yeah. If that is indeed the case, is that something that you would be in favor for, Congressman Perry?
Well, I want to definitely get past December. There are some people talking about doing another Christmas omnibus, which is terrible. I'd like to see something much longer than January, but if that's the best we can do because we need Democrat votes, at least that'll be an improvement. The Obamacare subsidies, look, I think we have to have a discussion about that. I don't want to keep sending tax dollars from the Treasury to insurance companies who are going to raise the rates anyhow, where their profits are up 230% and they deny 30% of claims. I think we've got to fix that. So, I'm not sure what that vote looks like, but I think we'll have to have a discussion in the House about that.
With us live tonight, Central PA, Congressman Scott Perry. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
Of course. All right, other side of the break tonight. It is the big news come tomorrow. What is going on in New York City? President Trump now speaking out about his hometown. It's about 24, 25, 26 hours or so from starting to see how parts of the political world across this country could take shape in the years to come, from the race for New York City mayor, which could define the Democratic Party's future, potentially, as a 34-year-old Democratic socialist is the frontrunner, to the race for governor in the purple state of Virginia, as well as the gubernatorial race in New Jersey. President Trump weighing in on both, playing up the stakes, at one point saying, quote, "A vote for the Democrats is a death wish." However, If the Democrats have a great Tuesday night, some might argue that there are still big questions that need some answering. What is the direction of the party? Would a Zohran Mamdani victory in New York City mean they need to move more left, or will they move in that direction? Mamdani himself seeming to suggest that big changes are coming.
Today, the morning before Election Day, we have not only come so far, we stand on the verge of ushering in a new day for our city.
To the panel. Full panel here with me now. Sean Spicer with us this evening, News Nation political contributor, host of the Sean Spicer Show podcast. Annalise Keller is a Republican strategist. Kurt Bardella, News Nation contributor, and Dan Cannon, former Battleground States Director for both the Biden and Harris campaigns. Hello to you all. Happy Election Eve. We got a lot going on tomorrow. I thought it was fascinating, Kurt, Dan, your side of the aisle. Let's start there, because over the weekend, President Obama, we learned, talked to Zohran Mamdani, didn't fully come out and endorse Zohran Mamdani. And I wonder if that's sort of emblematic of where your party is, which is, okay, we're watching, we're waiting, we're seeing, but at least the establishment not fully embracing.
Yeah, there are a couple things can be true at the same time here, Blake. Number one, when was the last time the New York mayor defined any political party? I don't remember Michael Bloomberg or Rudy Giuliani becoming the president of the United States ever. So why we've decided all of a sudden that the New York City mayor is the face of either political party, that seems ludicrous to me. On the flip side of it, I'm tired of Democrats being kind of halfway in, halfway out. Just own it. I mean, you're clearly having a conversation with the guy. You're being public about it. Just endorse him, because all it does is create these type of conversations where you look like, well, we want to kind of look like we're for you, but we don't want to overtly say it, which sounds idiotic to me.
I think that's right, although I will say I don't think most of the country really cares what the Democratic establishment thinks about a race in New York or anywhere else, honestly, and I'm not sure we should be waiting for that. I think the challenge they have is they want to see what happens in not just this race, but we'll talk about some of the other races in the area later, because this may be a bellwether for how they handle the House politics. Lots of contested races for Democrats, a couple of Democrats who won in Trump districts nearby, and I think they're being cautious for that reason. But I'm with Kurt. I think that be with the guy. He won the Democratic primary. He's running on costs. That's not a bad thing.
Oh, I hope you own that. Honestly, they should take Dan's advice, because if you want to take a terrorist-loving communist with all of his policies and own them, I think that you have just done the Republican Party a huge favor. We will make every Democrat answer for Zohran Mamdani next year and the policies he supports. So give him a big bear hug, embrace him, because he will become the face of the party. This isn't, I mean, to Kurt's point, here's all I'll say. You haven't never had someone this nuts and outside the mainstream to run a major American city or anything. There hasn't been a student council election with somebody this far crazy. So I hope that every Democrat has to answer and account for his policies.
Yeah, and I want to build on that, because I think not only you also have AOC and you have Bernie Sanders. These are the people that are getting the momentum in the Democratic Party right now. Those are the people that are drawing crowds. So yes, it's a mayoral race, and yes, it is a local race, but you're also seeing that everywhere. And I think the reason is affordability.
The distinction for tomorrow is going to be this. It's one thing to be a member of a legislative body, whether it's AOC or Bernie Sanders in the Senate or the House. You're now going to be an executive. So for all of this stuff, it's not just theory anymore. You actually have to do it or not do it or watch it fail, which he will do.
Why didn't Obama endorse him?
I think he's being cautious for the reasons that I articulated earlier, and who knows what he's honestly thinking there. But Sean, I want to disagree with this point that we're going to have him be the face of the party in something different.
They're going to try to.
I understand you. I disagree with your point that it's going to be any different than if you'd put AOC on every single ad in every single state, or Nancy Pelosi, or any other boogeyman. The fact is, the guy, even if I don't like all of his policies, he ran on lowering costs, and you want to make him this boogeyman, but his most compelling ad was talking about the fact that if you're a street food vendor, you got to pay like $10,000 to get a license that should cost $100, and that's why your street food costs $15, not $10. Real people get that. Yeah. It's good politics, and that's where the party should go.
But I'm telling you, you mentioned the other people. I mean, when I was at the RNC for 6 years, Nancy Pelosi was probably the biggest windfall that we had fundraising-wise.
Sure.
She's going to retire probably this week.
No,
Zohran Mamdani will take her place.
But there's always one, is my point. It's going to be
great.
somebody.
And but he's so far crazy. It's one thing, she fit the bill. She was from San Francisco. It's a very lefty thing. New York City going this far crazy left is something that everyone can identify with immediately. We're not going to have to, build him up. It will become a new thing day one.
So let me take you to where two folks agree here, because I asked all of you agree on both sides of the aisle. I asked all of you sort of what are you watching for? The one thing that you're watching for tomorrow. Both of you two said Virginia. Tell me why.
I'm looking at how Democrats and Republicans perform in purple counties like Loudoun County compared to the last elections. We saw Republicans make a lot of gains in some of these places, make gains with Latino and Asian American voters, especially in those outlying suburbs. I'm curious to see if that holds up to be true this time and how they run versus the Glenn Youngkin numbers from before.
Why Virginia?
Virginia traditionally votes in threes. So if you get one, you get them all, right?
You mean the governor?
The governor, you get the lieutenant governor and the AG, and that goes both parties. Tomorrow, Jason Miyares, I think, is right now just maybe outside that margin of error. And so if Democrats have a good night, does it extend to Miyares? Because I think it would say a lot that Virginians, where I vote, actually elected a guy like Jay Jones who threatened the life of a political opponent and wanted to see the child of that political opponent die in his mother's arms. That, to me, is a bridge too far. And whether or not Virginians, even if Democrats were to have a good night, which I still think that there's hope for us on our side, whether they go that far.
I'm going to get to Dan in a second because you're going somewhere sort of off the map, but the building here behind us, Annalise, you wonder if whatever happens tomorrow, if it impacts the shutdown here.
Yeah, there's been some speculation that Democrats are a little hesitant to end the shutdown, to roll over and not get a policy win here. So I'm really watching to see if this is the moment where they feel like, okay, we can go ahead. This is mounting pressure. You've got SNAP benefits ending. It kind of feels like this is the week before the week that the shutdown ends. And I think this is one of those pieces that needs to fall into place for Democrats to finally feel like they can come to the table and vote for a clean CR.
So all the races that are out there, you got governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey, the mayoral race in New York City, you've got Prop 50 out in California about redistricting. And Cannon texts me that he's focusing on Nassau County in New York. Why?
Yeah, the Bahamas of New York, Blake. Nassau County, Long Island, is home to a couple of very tight congressional districts, New York 3, New York 4, Tom Suozzi and Laura Gillen. But on the ballot tomorrow is the county executive race.
Okay.
There's a guy named Bruce Blakeman, not to be confused with Blake Burman.
All good.
Who was the county exec. He won by 50.3 points. I mean, just a very narrow squeaker victory.
Okay.
Seth Kozlow is a county legislator who's running as a Democrat.
Okay.
That's a close race. Not a lot of polling in a county exec race on Nassau County. But it's right next to New York City. And we get to test Sean's hypothesis in real time tomorrow because it's same media market. Fox News has been running stuff on Mamdani nonstop. If it affects that county exec race in a big way, that might be telling. On the other hand, if Democrats win that county exec race and flip it from Republican to D, I think it's very telling for where we stand in the midterms with House races, especially in New York.
You think Dan's right there?
Yeah. I agree with you, Dan.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's a good point. And again, the one thing I'll caution, whether or not we have a good night or not, I think I always used to have a saying when I was at the NRCC, special elections are special for a reason. Careful, there's always lessons to be learned in an election, but trying to read the tea leaves about an election from a year from now is a big mistake too many pundits make. They go, this is what it's going to mean for the midterms. Lessons learned on both sides coming out of tomorrow, but let's not start to forecast what midterms are going to look like.
All right.
But what will we talk about tomorrow then?
Well, I'll talk to you, both of you two in the morning on Morning in America. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Still to come here, other side of the break. So what in the world united President Trump and Gavin Newsom? Yes, those two united. I'll explain on the other side. All right, if you're just getting home, trying to catch up on today's top stories, here's some of what's trending right now over at thehill.com. The president saying, I doubt we're going to war with Venezuela, but Maduro's days are numbered. The president, during an interview over the weekend amid a multitude of U.S. strikes on drug boats that they say are trafficking drugs from Venezuela, sent an ominous message to the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro. Also trending, how about this? George Clooney, Kamala Harris presidential candidacy, a mistake. You remember that New York Times op-ed that the Hollywood icon penned asking President Biden to drop out of the 2024 race? Biden did that just 2 weeks later. Clooney now says Harris shouldn't have been the candidate, that the Democrats should have held a primary. Okay. Finally, Newsom on Trump, on trolling Trump. I put a mirror up to that madness. The California governor asked in a recent interview if he thinks he risks normalizing the president's behavior. Newsom says his online trolling of the president was the opposite. Newsom claims he's just pointing it out. Back and forth they go to. Check out those stories and more. All you have to do is head on over to thehill.com. You also can scan that QR code for our morning newsletter, of which I write in every morning. All right, time for my take now. Speaking of the two, the hometown crowd turned out in force this afternoon to cheer on the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers, who won in insane fashion on Saturday night, from a series-saving catch to plays at the plate that literally came within inches to a Hollywood-style home run in extra innings of Game 7. The Dodgers' victory over the Blue Jays on Saturday night going down as one of the best games in Major League history, greatest one that I've ever seen by far. And the California Governor Gavin Newsom writing, quote, "For the first time in 25 years, Major League Baseball has a repeat champ. And of course, it's California's own. Congratulations." Then there's Newsom's online trolling target, President Trump, who offered similar sentiments with a 1 a.m. post. He already threw out an invite as well, writing that a lesser group of men couldn't have pulled it off. The president says, "See you all at the White House." So there you go. Was that so hard? Two heated rivals seeing eye to eye on America's pastime and getting on the same page. So as we take a look at the Dodgers' celebratory parade in LA, one has to wonder what politics would be like if it were that easy. On day 34 of the shutdown, we end tonight by saying, hopefully our politicians can get to a place where both sides can play ball. Elizabeth Vargas reports. Coming up here on News Nation, just seconds away. I'm Blake Burman. Hope you have a great night. I'll see you early in the morning on Morning in America.